Yo, what's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of the Young and Hungry FireCast with my homeboy Jay _Azeltine. Jay, how hard was it for us to get on the podcast today, bro?
Bro, technological issues. We're trying their absolute hardest to sabotage the FireCast gains, but
I think
we overcame it.
Out there, yeah, they cut our internet line.
We overcame the struggles. That's a life tip right there. We kept persevering. We overcame it, and here we are, episode 12. If the internet cuts out midway, I can't help that, but we're live right now, so let's make it happen.
We're live at the moment. So basically, how it all started was this morning. I went to the gym to train. One of the clients come home. I was like, man, I'm tired. I'm gonna take a quick half-hour nap. Well, half hour turned to an hour and a half. Then Jay's like, dude, where you at? And I'm like, oh, shit.
Is that diet getting at you or what?
For real. A little bit of a low carb's going to be a little bit wore out. And then Jay's internet went out. And then he got it back.
Shout out to Frontier. Their internet sucks.
Shit. And then got it back. And then some technological issues on my side. Holy moly. But we're here now.
So we're going to knock this out. I got to eat in 1 hour, so we're going to knock it out quick. Quick
Jay,
hitters.
How's your diet right now, brother?
Yeah, dude. Like I said on episode 11, I have quite a diet brain right now. I've been very low carb for about 16 days now with a few carb loads of like a sweet potato. I had 2 sweet potatoes yesterday morning, which was absolutely epic. That was the most carbs I've had in one single sitting in about, like I said, 16, 17 days now. So my diet's definitely getting to the point where I feel real depleted all the time, mentally a little bit more foggy than usual, and just lower energy in general. But we got 6 days. I'm gonna knock it out, keep grinding, and I'll be all right.
Nice, man. So what's your mindset? Because that's something I know we want to talk a lot about today. It's just a great day to talk about mindset. Seeing that you're so close, to the shoot. You've been so low carb so many days. I know just for myself, I mean, I'm not even trying to get as lean as you or I know Corey, and it's a huge mental game, and that's what we talk about the bodybuilders, how hard it is, to stay mentally tough, and go to the gym, and your performance has to be down if you're not eating like you're usually eating, you're not holding anything extra on you, how hard is it to keep your mind right, going into the gym and having, I don't want to say half-ass workouts, but not having, top-notch workouts that you're used to having.
Oh yeah, dude, you just have to expect it. Like you have to know, especially when you're trying to get real super lean, that the last few weeks, especially like the final 7-10 days, your workouts are going to be cut short a little bit. You're not going to be able to lift as much weight. You might not be able to do as many sets. So it's just to be expected. That's just something I go every time I go into one of these preps. I just know it's going to happen. One thing that I really notice is that when I'm really depleted, man, like you know how sometimes like, you'll start to burn out on a set. And maybe like rep 7 through 10, it starts to get real hard. And by like 12, it's like, fuck, I don't know if I can do another rep. Well, when you're depleted, it's like you feel good on rep 6, 7, and then all of a sudden rep 8, you can't do another rep. So it's like real quick, 0 to 100 real quick. So I was doing like incline dumbbell curls this morning. And if you haven't checked out my arm workout I posted this morning, titled I Can't Feel My Arms, check it out on IG and Snapchat.
You always get the best names for the workouts. Arms Brigade.
So I'm doing these incline dumbbell curls. And legit, all of a sudden, like, it goes from feeling fine to I can't even do a single rep. So it locks up on you. So, yeah, so like you said, man, training's definitely expected to drop. My squats, all my core lifts have definitely gone down a bit, which then again, yesterday on leg day, I was quite surprised with how good my squat actually felt. I think it was a leverage thing. My leverages were way better than normal. So it actually felt better than normal. But from like a pure strength standpoint, definitely down, just like everyday life, very run down. Again, the mental fog. Has a role it plays and so forth. So it's all to be expected. It's just part of the process. But for the most part, I'm a lot more low carb this cut than normal. Like I said on the last show, every single cut's different. This cut, for whatever reason, I've had to go really low carb to try to get the fat off. I'm not sure exactly why. I think some of my hormones are off, basically imbalanced. I think that's causing my metabolism to be a little bit slower. And just in general, it's harder to cut the fat. So I've had to really do a lot of different things to try to get it moving. So I'm usually not this low carb, so I think that's made a big difference in it. But the carb load is definitely, it's crazy the difference in your physique and how you feel when you do a carb load. Like I said, yesterday morning I did post-workout, post-leg day, I did 2 sweet potatoes, pretty decent size with a whole bunch of Kerrygold butter, of course.
Kerrygold, what's up?
And the rest of the day, man, energy-wise, completely different. I mean, I didn't feel good, but I felt way better than normal when I'm carb depleted like this. And then today, my physique looked completely different. I look way fuller, way more vascular. So just like a small carb load like that, when you're carb depleted, it makes a world of difference. So
See,
diet
that's like
wise,
another
man.
mindset too, right? Because when you're cutting for these shoots, me and you were on the phone the other day, like, dude, I just feel so flat right now. Staying mentally tough when you're feeling that flat. Like, man, am I losing muscle? And
Oh, it definitely fucks with your head.
yeah, I mean, I know just whenever I was doing that shoot that me and you did together, and as I was cutting, I'm like, dude, I feel like crap. Like I feel so small. You're like, soon you carb load, you're gonna feel so much better. But it's like the mental game. And I even know my buddy Bailey, he trains at Iron Valley Barbell. He went and did his first shoot, and the kid's such a hard worker. He's placed in Indiana wrestling, because Indiana don't have like single weight, double weight, or whatever. It's just one. The wrestlers all wrestle together, so it's legit the best wrestlers against the best wrestlers. So he's a straight savage, works out hard. And I just watched his mental game. He's just like, he didn't even want to be in the gym by the time, the last few weeks were coming, for his bodybuilding show. He's
Oh
like, dude,
yeah.
this sucks. Solo, I feel so small. And I'm like, man, I see that's just what gears me away from bodybuilding in general. But it's just so, respectable to see these athletes go through that mental game the weeks and months prior leading up to it.
Being flat, dude, it definitely, and that's where I'm at right now because I mean, I'm super flat. I don't look exactly like I want to right now, and I think it's because I've kept my sodium levels ultra high the last few months. So I'm holding a lot of water still, I think. So I'm starting to go. That's one thing I'm starting today is I'm cutting off my sodium pretty much for the most part. I'm going non-salted butter, and I think because I don't have a whole lot of fat right now, it doesn't feel like I just can't see like the striations in my obliques and my just sides in general yet, and serratus. And I think it's just mainly just water on top. That's what it feels like. So I'm gonna again start cutting the water out. But yeah, man, it plays with your head like am I going to be right for next Thursday? But I know I'm very confident that I will be exactly how I want to be, just because I've done everything up until this point. We talked about before, preparation breeds confidence. So like, I know I'm prepared, and once I start cutting the water, I'm going to start looking more like I want to. But yeah, it's all a mind game, and then this is a whole nother thing with the mind games is like the cravings, man. Like people do not understand how addictive sugar really is, and carbs in general. Like
For
I am
real.
telling you
Yeah.
what, man. Like it is absolutely crazy how much you start to crave just the weirdest things. I'm telling you what, I have some really weird cravings.
It's like you're pregnant, like pregnant girls get like that.
For real,
Pregnant
yeah.
women, yeah.
So there's a lot of different mind games that go into it, but I talk about this all the time. Like in the moment, it kind of sucks at times, and it's like, man, I feel like shit. I look real flat right now. I can't lift any weights hardly. So again, definitely a lot of mind games. But then at the end of the day, after you get through the process, the shoot's over, you got all these dope pictures, you look fucking awesome, you're eating food now. It's like looking back, it's like, oh man, I really did enjoy that process. It was really good. It was very mentally challenging, which was good. I learned a lot from it. I was able to push myself through it. I was able to stay very self-disciplined and test my discipline. So at the end of the day, once you get through the process, you look back usually and you're like, I'm glad I did that. And
Yeah, yeah.
you
It
kind
breeds a
of
lot
want to
of
do it again.
confidence.
You kind of want to do
Yeah,
it again right away. But in the moment, it
right,
kind of
right.
sucks at times.
It breeds a lot of confidence, going through adversity. So I actually wrote an article the other day. I haven't sent it out yet, but it's on adversity and how, obviously I feel like the more adversity a person's dealt with, usually also is like a direct correlation into how successful they're able to become. For the simple fact that all of us, sometime or another in our life, will be dealt with adversity. It's just how we react to, you're going to just sit down whenever, the world knocks you down. Do you just sit down and, take it? Or do you just boom, hit your ass and jump
Or it could
right
be,
back
I
up
mean,
and
it could be
handle it?
internal or external. You know what I mean? Like a lot of
Yeah.
people have mental issues that they have to go through and fight through. And then there's a lot of external stuff too. I mean, health issues, family issues, a lot of
Family.
different things. So it could be both internal and external you're going through.
Oh, for sure. And I think actually, to be honest, dude, the internal is probably the worst. It's probably
Mm-hmm.
the hardest things I've ever gone through in my life were, internal issues, never really injuries or anything like that. I've always made, my way around. I've never been seriously injured, but I've been, beat up quite a few times and I've made my way around it. But the hardest things I've ever had to deal with were definitely mental issues. Just
1000%, man. I'm the same exact way.
it's just like this, even things that might not even seem relevant to some people, could be so that's a good thing to think about too, like understanding that person where they're at in their life. And it might not, like, you might have an issue, Jay, that's just like, I would think of it as no big deal. But for whatever reason, that issue has a grasp on you. So you can't, I can't basically cast shade or undermine, what you're actually going through in your life and how hard it is on you. If you can just handle it. And that's another way to look at it. Just because you might have what people might see as a minor issue to be a big issue in your life, and you overcome that adversity, you're going to grow from it and build a confidence from it. So I try to never undermine anyone else's issues either. Like, say you're going through death in the family of a great aunt or a great uncle,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm like, man, I don't even know my great aunt or uncle, so I wouldn't even cry if they died. Where you could have been super close to them, so you
Mm-hmm.
never know what that person's feeling. So whatever issues you're dealing with or adversity, because I feel like we're almost going through it week to week. Someone's going through some sort of adversity, every day, So when you're dealing with it, knowing that you're just consistently growing from it, and I just walk by faith. I feel like everything that happens in my life is literally, it happens for a reason. Like there's a reason why I'm dealing with this struggle right now, because there's light at the end of the tunnel. It's prepping me, for that, that treasure. So every time I deal with that, adversity comes in my life, I know this is a testament of my strength.
Yeah, and you never know what anyone else is ever going through. Like when you see someone on the road and they're pissed off and screaming, like you don't know what the fuck they're going through in
Yeah.
their lives or what they're going through in their head or whatever. So I think that's something to keep in mind on a daily basis when you run into people like that. Like you really don't know what's going on. But yeah, like you
How
said,
do
man.
we, here's the thing is, it's like I do a lot of like sports psychology stuff. And I tried that. That's like my number one go to, even over like nutrition and training, is sports psychology for my athletes. I feel like I can get the most out of my athletes simply by making him believe in himself or making her believe in herself. That's how I get the most out of my athletes. It's not even through grueling programs. It's the mental game, the mental aspect of it. So I try to connect with my athletes on that level. So if you're a coach out there, I just want to hit on this real quick, like because this whole entire episode is basically going to be on mindset. To get the most out of your athletes, it's not always just running their fucking dick in the dirt.
Yeah.
There's other ways to get the most out of your athletes, making them believe in themselves to where they want to run their dick in the dirt. There's the difference between making them and if they want to. And you can tell in their sprints or in their working sets, when it gets hard, if you're making someone do something, they're easy to quit. If they want to do something, it's hard to beat them.
Yeah, the mentality is huge, man. I mean, you're going to break mentally way before you ever break physically. So if you're strong mentally, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, it's so true. I mean, in every single case almost, you're never really able to push yourself to the point where your body literally just shuts down. But your mind's going to come in and say, hey, you need to stop. That's just a thing that's set up in your body to actually like protect you. But when you're trying to train and really push the limits, if you're able to push through those barriers and you have that strong mind, and like you said, you take the time to go through the mental sports psychology and stuff, that's going to really play a huge role in your progress and whatever you succeed in.
I think it's in it. That's obviously a direct correlation for me in my life is, the gym to real life, to where I've been able to push myself so hard in the gym. And it's like, I felt so much pain in the gym. No matter what life throws at me, I'll be able to handle it, because I felt it there. So that was just my way of like coping, I guess, or understanding things, is through the gym. You know what I mean? But yours might be through something else. Like you might be so mentally tough, something, you were dealt with some adversity at home or something as a kid, and so whenever you go in the gym, like I've already been dealt with some of the hardest times in my life, I can handle whatever the gym throws at me. But taking your mindset, when you're dealing with adversity, like when you're that guy on the side of the road screaming, how do you handle that situation? Like taking that and knowing that there's a reason why you're going through that adversity to push forward. And then
Yeah.
when you start to change your mindset and the way you look at it, instead of looking at the glass half empty, you start looking at, the glass half full,
Mm-hmm.
the
Yeah,
way you see things.
I think keep it in the back of your head like this is going to make me a better person. I am going to persevere. I'm going to get through this, and on the other end, I'm going to be a better person. I'm going to be stronger. And like you said, man, people that don't ever go through any adversity, they aren't nearly as strong mentally and so forth. So yeah, so having that in the back of your mind, knowing that it's going to benefit you actually, instead of just thinking how shitty you feel at the moment or whatever, I think that can really help you get through it. And just that vision is so key.
Yeah, so just for instance, like this is just kind of a small bit of it, but through adversity, like you bear very, very rarely, at least me myself, I don't care how many fucking degrees somebody has, I'm not gonna go to them for training unless they're actually living it, right?
Mm-hmm.
So like if I'm going to do a photo shoot, I'm not gonna go to a guy just because he has a fucking degree in nutrition. I don't give a shit. I'm gonna go to the guy who's actually been through the process, the mental process. So the fact that you're actually already going through that mental process, obviously I'm going to search you out as a coach or whatever it may be. And they still have to know their stuff. Everyone who goes through a process doesn't mean they know their stuff, right? So you still have to know your stuff. But I know the mental game behind of it. I know you truly, like some people, you can read as many books as you want, but until you actually live it, you're not going to be able to, direct give it back to me the way I'm going to need to be able to hear it.
Mm-hmm.
To where you've already lived it. So it actually means all that, grind and hardship and adversity you've gone through this whole entire cut has made you that much better after the cut. After, whenever you're at the gym, and I know just from competing in powerlifting, when there's like other guys in the gym and they haven't like competed yet in powerlifting, I just see the difference in our training. Like I've watched my intensity and their intensity, and it's different. It is extremely different. And the guys who train, for competition, who are in competition, and who the guys who are sitting there working out. The guys who actually are competing in competition actually have that different mindset compared to the guys who are just in there, which like what we talk about all the time, having a date on the calendar. How much harder your training is when you have a date on the calendar. Like if you didn't have this date, Muscle Beach, shoot, would you be doing what you're doing right now and testing your limits the way you are right now?
1,000%. Being able to relate, especially in terms of like coaching and your clients, being able to relate to what they're going through, I think is really key. Like with my clients, I have a couple guys. I got one guy that's doing a show in about 3.5 weeks. Shout out to Dakota. So, I mean, I'll know,
What up?
you know what I mean? I'll know what he's going through. I'll be able to relate to the misery of the diet and the cravings and so forth.
Yeah.
And just normal clients too, that are just trying to lose weight and they got to be real strict and so forth while we're trying to get their metabolism moving. I can actually relate to them and they know that I've been through it too. So I'm not just talking shit and just saying, hey, just be tough and giving them these reasons why they need to stay disciplined. But if I've actually gone through it, I can speak from personal experience. I think that's so freaking key, man. And it just gives me a lot of rep. Obviously, that's a whole nother story, but just being able to relate in regards to so many different areas of life. Obviously, it applies directly to the coaching, what we do, but it also applies to a lot of different areas.
Like put this way, Eric Thomas, one of my favorite motivational speakers, has been dealt with how he was, homeless, eating out of trash cans. That's the reason I'm able to relate to him so much, because he's actually felt the pain. You can hear the pain in his voice when he's talking. He's been there. He's not just iterating some story. Mm-hmm. This ain't some story he just read up and be like, oh, yeah, this would be cool. Like he actually felt that pain, and then he'd gone through that adversity. He rose to the occasion. That's why people like him so much.
Yeah.
To where if it's just like, yeah, I just grew up on the Upper West Side and the suburbs.
My parents gave me $1 million. I was a mutual fund baby and all this shit. But on the other hand, man, it's not like you can't succeed if you've never had any adversity either.
Oh, absolutely,
I mean, there's so, like Gary Vee, there's just one quote of his, dude, I love more than any of his quotes. He's got a lot of great ones, and it's like, I can't remember what he says, but he's like, there's 1 million different ways to win. You just got to figure out which one is best for you.
Yep.
So overall, like above everything else we ever say, even if this stuff doesn't apply to you, there's still a way for you to win. It's just you got to find the best way.
The best way for you. And if you haven't been dealt with, if you have had that easy life your whole entire life, create some adversity for yourself. Basically, if no one's ever felt no adversity, all that tells me is you've actually never truly challenged yourself. Because you will. You will find adversity when you truly challenge yourself. And say you've been given a bunch of money and you just have it really easy and your parents pretty much take care of you, take you through college, and that's all fine and dandy. What I would do is challenge myself next semester. Hey, mom, dad, I don't want no money. I want to go ahead and, I'm going to go and do my schoolwork and I'm going to get a part-time job. And I'm, give yourself the adversity, or I'm going to go ahead and do a powerlifting meet, or I'm going to do a show, or try to do a mock photo shoot, and put yourself in that and see what you're actually truly made of. Because you're never going to figure out what you're truly made of until you throw yourself in the trenches, until you throw yourself in the mud. You're never going to know what you truly got inside. And you're going to find something inside you that you never knew you had whenever you give yourself that adversity. Mm-hmm. Like, I create my own adversity, even when shit's going good for me. Like, that opened the gym, and it was going good for me in the clothing line and the online training. Like, I didn't have to do anything else, right? Like, I was making enough money and living cool, but it's like, shit, dude, how can I challenge myself more? I created more adversity, more challenges for myself, obviously with Max Effort Muscle, working with a startup with Corey and the guys. And then, the podcast, like we didn't have to do the podcast. We're doing fine without it, but like, hey, we want to do the podcast. So now we got to make sure, like this morning we were dealt with adversity all morning. So frustrating technology, you know what I mean? And then, everything else, like I go on the website and stuff. Like, I didn't need the website, but it's like something else I want to. So I keep on, creating harder situations in my life that's going to build me up to whatever that pinnacle in my life may be.
Yeah, just get out of your comfort zone. That's key. And you can do, it doesn't have to be huge. It could be small things on a daily basis to get you out of your comfort zone. Like I talked about when I lunged a mile that one day, I just felt like I needed a challenge. So I was like, fuck it, I'm going to go lunge a mile. But it could be really small things, just little things on a daily basis that really add up and help you build up that mindset to where you're able to overcome and persevere. But again, it could be the smallest of things on a daily basis.
Many challenges, yeah. That's good how you put that. Like you just did 1 mile just to test your limits. Like I talked about it before. Like I challenged myself to not sit down for 24 hours. Like that's the stupidest thing ever. Like why would you even do that? There's no benefit in that, right? I grew so much mentally from it. I can't even, I'm so much more mentally tough just from giving myself those daily challenges.
What did you do that whole day?
Dude, I didn't do like I just did my basic day. Like I went to the gym and I had a pool, so I cleaned my pool and just like stayed busy kind of
Yeah.
thing. Like I was really busy throughout most of the day. Like I worked, I think the night before I was like on midnight shift, so I worked already till like from like 11 at night to like 12 the next day or something. It was like 12 hours. So I just knew I had 12 more hours to stand up. And I was like, well, I stand up all day when I work anyway. So I was like, I can do this shit. So by the time I got like 22 hours, it's like, I almost caught myself sitting down a couple times. Not even like knowing it, but I had to say like, whoa, don't sit down. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure.
Cleaned my pool and did stupid shit all day.
Just small stuff like that though makes a world of difference, man.
Snapchatted. I was like, yo, I'm standing all day.
You were on Snapchat, bro, way ahead of the curve.
Dude, I was on Snapchat. I was on Snapchat when only people were using it for nudes.
Yeah, I didn't even know I probably didn't even know what it was at that point. Fuck.
I was literally spitting motivation on it. I think my followers should be about 80,000 people on Snapchat, but I've just never had the exposure.
Yeah,
but in time, yeah.
Your Snapchat's really unique with regards to all the motivation. We talked about this thing on the social media episode probably a couple times before, but I think people really dig that, man. It definitely allows people to get like a spark from it, and just that one spark, like we talked about before, it's a domino effect. They watch your video, and just one small thing lights a fire. They go, they do whatever they need to do, which builds up a little bit more positive momentum, and that leads to them doing even more positive things. And then now they got this whole snowball effect going. They have all this crazy positive momentum going, and it all started maybe just from one little Snapchat that you did. So it's like, again, that it all comes back to mindset, but just one little small thing can change everything. And then once the momentum gets going, which we've talked about before, positive momentum is so key. Either have positive or negative momentum. You have one or the other. That's the way it is.
Yeah, there's no in between.
Yeah,
you're
exactly.
rolling or you're not rolling.
Exactly, man. But it's crazy how just one small thing can get your momentum going again. And I think that's key too. If you're in a really negative spot in your life right now and you're in a rut, maybe it's a week rut or a month rut or even a few year rut, one small thing can make a huge difference, can make a world of difference, change everything. And then you start generating that positive momentum, and you just got to make sure you keep fueling the fire and generating that positive momentum, because as soon as you stop fueling it and you allow yourself to slip a little bit, then the negative momentum starts coming in and you lose it real quick. It's way harder to build up that positive momentum than it is to it's way harder to get going than it is to actually for it to stop and go the opposite way, and you get all that negative momentum. But I think that's really key, though, man. If you're in a spot like that in your life and you are just really depressed, you're down on yourself, and you're just hating on yourself all the time, just realizing that if you take one positive step, everything may change with a snap of a finger.
Dude, you're exactly right. So here's something I suggest, because I was thinking about that a lot, especially after that last episode. I think we did something about positive momentum and negative momentum. And I was like, well, how can, we say just take a positive step, but it's just like, I remember us just preaching about that, but now I want to like elaborate a little bit more like on what Jay said, a few strategies I use whenever I start to feel myself slip, because dude, we're human. Jay and I are both human. Like there's times, it's just really cool when you have like a community, almost like a network of like positive people. If one dude's slipping a little bit, you jump on a phone call with Jay and he's just hype. So it's just like, okay, that just instantly brought me back up. Or like I jump on a phone call with Corey and he's hype, or they're down and I'm hype, so we're able to kind of build each other up all the time. But if you don't have that in your life, how can you find that? Obviously through podcasts, through listening to us, we're always talking positivity for the most part. But I just like to listen to like podcasts or even audiobooks, like self-development books. And I might not even truly be listening. Like it might be on when I'm in the shower, I'm not even really paying much attention to it, or on when I'm driving and I'm not paying much attention. But there might just be like one word in there that's going to spark some interest. That it might not even be a chapter, a sentence, just a one word they said. I'm like, oh, and it hit me, and then I have a great idea. Now that I have that idea, you can just let it slip, or you can push for that idea. You can apply actions to that idea. And as soon as you start applying actions to that idea, because obviously if it sparks in your head, it's going to be something you're actually intrigued by and interested in, so you're going to have fun doing. That can be a great start to building that positive momentum. And just as Jay said, it's like a fire. Like whenever you have that positive momentum, it's a fire. And think about if you're at a campfire, how quickly, you have, boom, the fire's blazing. And as the night wears on, if you guys don't put no logs in a fire, just in a couple of short hours, it's just coals and it's just simmering, right? So just always making sure you're just putting one log in a fire. You don't have to have your campfire like a house. It doesn't look like a house fire, but it's just always just throwing a log on there. Always just keeping that fire burning every single day. And I think it comes from daily challenges. I do. A lot of times it gets like I figure out how my online training works, and I figured out, I'm learning now how quickly I get done with the max effort muscle duties I'm responsible for and the gym duties I'm responsible for. And even I have all these businesses, like I'm still able to bang all my stuff out pretty quickly right now. And now it's like now new challenges, writing the book. I'm writing my autobiography on my life, like literally as it goes. So it's pretty cool. I think I talked about that before, but just basically, continue to give myself new challenges and new things that I'm excited about. Because if you guys listen, if you go straight home and you plop like most people on this call or listen to this, probably not doing this, but if you have a family member or something, you can maybe persuade in a certain way. If they go home and their first thing they do is sit down on a couch and turn the TV on, you have built negative momentum. I can't tell you the last time I've done that. Even on a Sunday for football, like I'm still coming home and I'm either throwing a load of clothes in the washer or I'm doing something positive first.
Mm-hmm.
So always try to think like, when you get home, do something positive. Make yourself a quick do dishes, laundry, and wipe the counters down. Like now that you're building that positive momentum, you'll start doing that, and then you're going to feel even okay if you sit down and watch a football game, a couple hour football game.
Mm-hmm.
So just trying to make sure you keep on challenging yourself daily. I know a little bit of like psychology stuff or like depression. They would have people do to-do lists all the time, and it'd be the most minor things like brush your teeth, put your shirt on. But the fact that they're check marking that off every single day started building that positive momentum.
Yeah, dude. The small checklist like that just sets you up to obviously the positivity thing, but I mean, it's just going to allow you to really like, what were you talking about with the TV, rewarding yourself, not just doing it, but actually rewarding or doing the things necessary leading up to that. And then you can reward yourself and you actually feel good about it. And you can enjoy your time sitting there watching TV a lot more than if you would just have sat down. But I think the small checklist and things like that, man, I think it's a really good way to build up momentum and not putting too much on there to where you're not going to check them all off, but something really manageable, especially starting out, is like just doing like 3 things that you can get done. And then once you finish it, you get a little spark in your head to get like a little bit of a hit of positivity. You know what I mean? But if you had a bunch of shit on there your first day and you may only end up doing half of it, then you're going to get to the end of the day and there's no time left. You fucking whipped. You want to go to bed, but only half the list is checked off. Then it kind of sparks a negative emotion in your head. So I think that's setting yourself up for success is key.
Yeah, for sure. Not overkilling yourself. Putting too much on your plate at once. It's almost like whenever I want to start gaining weight again, I'm not going to give myself a cup of rice with every single meal. I'm going to slowly just start adding, some carbohydrates in, then a little bit more. Because I've gotten in that same where I'll write to-do lists so long. And you're exactly right, Jay. When I write my to-do list too long and I don't get them done, the next day I don't feel like doing them because I feel like I've already, failed myself the day before. So it's making sure that I just make enough to get done during the day. Living in the 24 hours, you can't do anything else besides it's, given in our 24 hours. So live in the moment, try to get what you can get done that day. Also try to enjoy the process while you're doing it and reward yourself after. Just like when you talk about maybe it's for you, it is TV or whatever it may be. Mine's just a little bit of family time before I go to bed. That's how I reward myself. So by the time I actually am spending family time that last couple hours a night, I feel pretty good about it because I know I've worked.
You enjoy it way more. Joe Rogan talks about that, man. He's like, if you actually work your ass off and then after a long day or after a couple of long days, you sit down and watch some TV, you're going to enjoy the fuck out of it. But if you
Joe Rogan probably said you sit down and smoke some weed after a long day.
Yes, sir. But if you just sit down though, man, and like you haven't actually haven't actually earned it and you just sit down and watch some TV, you're just going to kind of sit there and go through the motions. But again, if you had actually earned that shit and been working your ass off, you're going to really, really soak that in and sit down. But I like the point you just said a minute ago. I can't remember exactly how you worded it, but you talked about if you slip up one day, the next day you're much more likely to slip up. It's it's either the war of art or the compound effect. And they were talking about the positive momentum you build up and stuff. And one of the things that the author was talking about was like when you slip up, no matter what it is, that next day you're way, way more likely to slip up again just because you lost all the momentum. So keeping that in mind, if you have a lot of momentum going, try not to slip up at all, because if you do, that next day you're likely to slip up. You're much more likely to slip up, and then that snowball effect takes place, but in regards to negative momentum instead of snowballing into something positive.
I like that. That's something I'm definitely going to work on. Look at this. I'm learning on the podcast. I love it, dude.
Me too, bro. I am as well, because right now, like, this is something I wanted to say was, especially when I get close to these shoots, man, my productivity goes down a ton. My efficiency goes down a ton. I'm feeling like shit all the time. Like I talked about a couple episodes ago, I've been running down the last few years. I couldn't figure out why. Well, it turns out my testosterone's all jacked up, super low. So that's something I'm figuring out here soon. But on these preps, when I get close, it's like I feel like shit on a normal basis, but it's like times a million. So my productivity sometimes slips, and I really get down on myself and get real hard on myself and so forth. So hearing this kind of stuff is good for me, even because I'm right now in kind of a slump, just because I feel it's so foggy all the time. It's kind of hard to think energy wise. So even me talking about this stuff, it's kind of like a soundboard. It's kind of like we talked about with journaling, man. When you write stuff down, you kind of get your thoughts onto paper, and everything becomes a lot more clear. Same thing with this. I'm able to really get things out, and it's kind of a soundboard, and it makes me think. So it's good for both of us, allowing us to really kind of elaborate on things that are in the back of our mind.
Yeah, it's like every once in a while when I'll listen back to the podcast. I don't do it every episode because obviously we talk about the podcast, but I'll listen back and see what we should, we could work on or whatever. And I'm like, oh, that's, I said that. And basically, I wasn't telling nobody. I was telling myself, like,
exactly. I found myself doing that all the time on the show.
I'm like, Zach, this is probably what you should be doing more of. And I'm like, and I'm not, I do try to practice everything I preach. And I do practice, like, everything I'm saying is things that I'm doing. But it's like, I could definitely get way better at the to-do list thing, as in making sure I'm completing it every day. Because I'm not. Because I'm actually looking behind me. I'm just thinking, like, this all I can think about right now is, like, I made to-do list.
This shit's deep right now.
I have 2 things I didn't get accomplished. And it was on my mind last night. And I was thinking about it. I was like, I got so much done yesterday, though. I wrote so many programs, and I did so much content and voiceover. Like, I did so much stuff. And the only thing I can think about is those 2 things, which is obviously building this negative momentum. It's probably why the fucking podcast wasn't working this morning. That negative momentum I produced.
It's funny, though, how that works, though, right, man? It's almost like because when you get on the podcast, man, especially now that we're starting to get comfortable with it, it's almost like you just get into a flow state and you're not even thinking about what you're about to say. It just kind of just comes out. Whereas with sometimes when you're just, especially not on the podcast, you're just having normal conversations, like kind of like stuff's manufactured, you're trying to figure out things to say. On the show, though, usually you get into that flow state, especially after the first couple of minutes, shit just starts coming out, and it's almost like your subconscious mind's producing all this shit and things that you've been trying to focus on, or things that you do need to focus on in your life, especially with me, and like you just said, it just starts to come out, so you start really preaching to yourself, and all these other people benefit from it too, which is the whole basis behind the whole fucking show.
That's
Boom,
exactly why we're here. Boom. Hey, guys, we'll leave it there, actually. We're done with the podcast. We're going to wrap it up. I think that was good. For real, though, man. You're exactly right. That's definitely a good way to look at it, man. I feel the same exact way. A lot of times when I'm talking and even like doing my motivational talks, like that one I did on You Can't Get Tired, don't be tired. I just remember how tired I was during that time. I was really running myself down. I was dry. And I had to give myself a pep talk. There's times, guys, where we got to quit looking, to Jay, and quit looking to me, and quit looking to Corey, and quit looking to Eric Thomas and Gary Vee for motivation. And we'd start bringing it out of ourselves. We'd start looking to ourselves and get real with ourselves quick. And for me, it was always been video. Like, I like to be on camera. Like, put the camera in my face. Like, I enjoy being on camera. So I would be doing this a long time ago. I would be videoing myself, like, screaming at myself. And now I just put it on Instagram. And you guys think it's, like, motivational, which is awesome. But it's like, it is, because it motivates me, and I know what I need to work on. And I know if I'm dealing with some of these struggles, so are you. There's other people in the world that's dealing with some types of struggles. So me and Jay both have separate ones that we're dealing with, separate issues. And I'm not saying like our struggles are like, oh my God, it's life ending, but it's just like, it's small, many things, but those many things add up. So whenever you're always keeping yourself in check, you're more likely to succeed when you're always being self-aware and always being on yourself. Like, bro, you just chilled half the morning, get your ass up. It's time to, whatever it may be. So checking yourself all the time is important. I think a lot of people don't check themselves. A lot of people ain't hard enough on themselves.
Check yourself before you wreck yourself.
Check yourself.
That was a lot. That was a lot of fire on mindset, dude. I enjoyed that. We got deep there for a second. Let's talk a little bit more about the past few weeks with the diet. I think that'll be good. So now we're going into the peak week here soon. So we'll talk a little bit about like what the diet's been like the past few weeks, and then the next week. I'll give out, I know you're the same way with your training stuff. We give out a lot of details. We don't give out exactly like what we're doing, you know what I mean? For specific reasons. I know you guys are aware that this is our business. This is what we do to make money. But then again, I like giving out a ton of content. So I like debriefing people for the most part on exactly what I'm doing with the prep and try to keep you as in the loop as possible. But yeah, Zach, kind of talk about what you have been experimenting with. I know you said you were messing with your carbs a little bit and so forth. So kind of talk about what you've been doing the past few weeks, and then what's your plan for this final week.
So as you guys know, I'm the powerlifter guy. So going into the shoot, we're basically just like reenacting. We're taking old school gym, pretty much to Muscle
Gonna
Beach. We're
be
doing
epic as
it,
fuck.
dude. It's gonna be so cool. Especially like I was talking to Jacob the other day, or Jake and Jacob. I think we're actually on a group text, and we're just all like hype about it. Like this is gonna be so much fun going out there with all the guys and just laying on the
It
beach.
hasn't registered, honestly. It hasn't really fully registered yet. Like, what is like the whole week? How dope it's actually going to be. Just kicking it on the beach, like we talked about before. We never experienced LA. Zach and I are going to really go out. Maybe rent some bikes and just tour the city, and then the actual shoot on Thursday, and then the carbs, and then the magazine. There's so many different little things built into this that are going to be amazing. I don't think it's registered quite yet. I don't think it'll be real until we hop on the plane Sunday morning. And also, you guys aren't going to be able to handle the amount of Snapchat, Instagram, YouTube, everything. Dude. The content's going to come from you, Corey, and I. Those 3 or 4 days leading up.
Galore content. I'm actually driving 2.5 hours to Columbus. Just like, and I have an airport. Indianapolis airport is literally 20 minutes from my house, if that, like 10 minutes from my house. It's right down the road. But I'm driving clear to Columbus just to document the whole entire trip with the guys.
It wouldn't be nearly as fun if you weren't flying with us either. It's going to be a 5-hour flight out there. We're going to wreak havoc on that plane. It's going to be nutty.
Yeah, it's going to be pretty epic. Really epic. It's going to be a lot of fun. I'm super excited. So basically, get back to the diet part. So what are we talking about again?
Go ahead.
The diet. So I don't have to be as lean as these guys. So my diet is going to be a little bit different. Basically, what I have going on was I was low carb. I just want to be able to see my abs. So I have my name tattooed on my stomach. So it really takes away from my abs a lot. Like,
but it looks dope as hell.
Yeah, it looks cool. You know, look like almost like a badass. You know, if I just maybe it was a little bit. You know, like if I could grow a full beard, I think I look so much tougher. But whatever.
Same.
So anyway, so it kind of covers my ab anyways. But so I want my lower ab to come in so you can see it. So basically, I was just dropping my carbs, kind of what Jay and I did last time, which worked, you know, for me, and I figured that'd be good. But I was a bit far. We were kind of far out, you know, 3 or 4 weeks out, and I was getting really lean, feeling flat. My lifts weren't good. I was like, well, I got to lift heavy, you know, during it, and I feel like I'm just not, you know, even whenever Jay and I did the first shoot, which was my very first shoot, and I was like a different type of client, I think, than what he was used to. Even like I take in 600 grams of carbs a day, you know?
You're an anomaly, like completely different than anyone I've ever met in my life.
Is the same thing. Is like, dude, I don't talk to many people who do 600 grams of carbs a day and are as lean as you, Zach. It just doesn't make sense.
No.
So it's almost not even like triple that amount of carbs, you know, on my refeed day whenever I'm, you know, going into the shoot. So basically, what we decided to do is I started eating. Basically, I was eating rice with every meal, just a small portion. I'm maybe a half a cup uncooked or a fourth of a cup uncooked. I'm not sure exactly. I don't measure it out all the way. And I started feeling so much fuller, and actually started losing some fat. You know, so my body weight's about the same. It's gone down a little bit, but I can definitely see my midsection tightening up. And what I've been doing, though, on top of that, doing a little bit of carb load before I go to bed every night. And I'm not even going to lie, it's not been clean every night. It's been a little bit of
carb life, baby.
Because I see myself, I'm getting lean, and I'm still feeling pretty good. And I'm like, well, I'm not trying to go out there to shoot and be like, look at me, I'm a physique guy or cover guy like Corey and Jay, and I'm a powerlifter, because I'm not. I'm not trying to portray something I'm not. So I'm trying to show, like, this is basically what I'm going to look like at shoot day, basically what I look like after my water cut going into a meet. So it's like, that's what I'm trying to portray. So that's kind of where my diet is right now. Lots of proteins, obviously lots of fats. I've been doing the fats in my coffee every morning like Dustin does. The coconut
oil. MCT?
Yeah, it's Coke. I'm doing the coconut.
You doing coconut? Same thing. Similar.
Yeah. Same difference, I guess. But it's because that's what I have in my cupboards. That's what I'm using. But yeah, dude, I like it. I can't even taste it in my coffee because I drink my coffee so fucking black anyways. So it's so strong I can't even taste it. So yeah, that's where it is right now. My carbs, I got to say I'm sitting at maybe 200 grams a day right now. And now this last week though, so I've been doing lunges. I try to do them every day, but it's like every other day it seems like, because I've been doing a lot of other GPP stuff. Where yesterday I did 50% squat or 50% deadlift and 50% bench for, I said 8 minutes, but it ended up being like 12 minutes because I actually videoed in between, so I had stopped or whatever. But nonstop, back and forth, 50%, one. Just basically building up that aerobic base a little bit. So I've been doing a couple other things besides lunges, but knowing now that we are less than a week away, 6 days.
6 days, crazy.
6 days. We shoot on Thursday?
Yes, sir. 8 a.m., boy.
Thursday at 8 a.m. I am really going to double down on my lunges. It just shreds my legs up. Literally like 3 days of doing lunges. I feel like I'm just so dense, it doesn't take me very long to like shred up enough to where I need to be for the
Yeah.
shoot. So this last 6 days, especially I was thinking within 5 days, I'm going to super dial down. I'll go almost into ketosis. I'll probably be less than 50 grams of carbs. I'll probably go 150 today, maybe 100 tomorrow, and then I'll be back down. I'll be I'm going to like wean myself down into it.
Mm-hmm.
And then probably the day before, me and Corey talking, I'll probably start carb loading the morning the day before to get the amount of
I'm
carbs
be
I need
jealous
in.
as fuck.
Yeah, I'm gonna be pounding sweet
I'm gonna be hating you.
enjoying life, trying to keep obviously the water intake down so I don't bloat and just experiment and see what happens. If it doesn't work, then it's like, it's my second shoot. I'm learning as I go, and I'm not stressing it, just enjoying the process and enjoying the time with the guys out there in Cali. Different outlook, I guess, with the body physique is what Jay, they're under a little bit more pressure than me. Jay and Corey and Dustin, they got to be fucking super shreds because that's their realm of things. So Jay, you elaborate a little bit more on your diet.
Yeah, man. So it's been kind of crazy. Like I said, it's been a lot more difficult to get my body fat down than I thought it would be. I got up in weight quite a bit. I think I got to almost 178 coming off that weekend. I was at the Valley, and what was that for?
You come out here and I just fucked you over, man. Gyros.
I think that was about four and a half, I think it'll be 5 weeks maybe this weekend. So I started my cut legit when I first left there. It wasn't as strict, obviously, it is now. It's gotten more and more strict, but I started my cut pretty early on. I felt like gave myself 6 weeks, and the weight kind of started coming off real slow. And then I think it was about 16, 17 days ago, like I said earlier, I started going pretty much keto almost for the most part. When I found out I found out I had blood sugar issues at that time, so I was like, well, I'm gonna start experimenting and kind of see what happens. So I started cutting out the daily fruit that I was doing before. I was doing 1 to 2 bananas a night, and cut that out and put almonds in its place. So that really dropped my carbs. Obviously, that's like 50 less carbs a day or 40 less carbs a day, cutting those bananas out. So I started going low carb about 2.5 weeks out, or 2.5 weeks ago, we'll say. The weight really started to drop. I was probably about 172, 173 when I started the really low carb. I'm right now 166. The last week and a half, my weight's literally dropped almost every single day. I'll wake up in the morning, my weight will be 0.2 to 0.6 pounds lighter. I've been taking in a shitload of sodium, so I'm still really holding a lot of water. I think my body fat, I'm about to where I won't lose a whole lot more body fat, maybe just a little bit more, but I think it'll be basically all water this last week, I guess 6 days, and then that'll kind of shrink wrap the muscles. But yeah, so for the most part, it's been a really low carb cut, a whole lot of meat, a whole lot of veggies, non-starchy veggies, which I talked about before. I cut out the starchy veggies like corn and peas about a week and a half ago. So that made a difference, allowed the weight to come down even more. So that's a tip if you guys are trying to cut weight, try to cut your starchy veggies out if you're consuming a lot of veggies. That'll help. So a whole lot of non-starchy veggies, and then again, a whole lot of nuts. I've been eating a lot of almonds. Almonds are my go-to the final few weeks of a cut. I really like just how the fats hit me, how my body reacts to the fats of almonds. Everybody's got their different type of fat source that works best for them. Just seems to work best for me. I like beef a lot as well. Some people don't really like beef. I know your body doesn't react very well. So again, a lot of meat, a lot of veggies, a lot of nuts. So that brings us up basically to where I'm at right now. Today, I start really dropping my sodium levels down. Again, I was taking in probably 600 to 900 mgs of sodium every day, which is a lot. That makes your body hold a lot of water. I've been drinking a gallon and a half of water every day. And taking the animal cuts, which helps drain the water out a little bit. But again, I think I'm holding a shitload right now. And it's making me kind of look a little bit more fluffy than I actually am. So,
but just the fact that you're taking that much sodium, I say that from my own cuts, with the sodium, dude. Mm-hmm. Once you cut that sodium out,
exactly,
that shit, dude, it's
like a waterfall.
My cuts, literally, people crack up because before my cuts, I'll do a water load and I actually gain a couple pounds. Mm-hmm. I'll gain 2 or 3 pounds on my water load, that's a whole new topic.
I'll do that as well. Yeah, I'm gonna get into that in a second.
And then I just drop it, which is a little bit different. Obviously, you were weighing yours out, where I just drop mine in one day. Cuts for me are brutal. I take X-Lax, and I'm not saying it's the right way to do it, but it's that's how I get from 200 to 180 in less than 48 hours. Is this all by cutting water? And dude, it fucking just goes. You just keep pissing and shit.
That's where I'm at right now. That's where I'm at right this moment. I got to take a piss. I'm trying to wrap this bitch up.
Let's wrap the podcast up. Yeah, so tell us the rest about the cut.
So let me wrap this up real quick. Like I said, today, low sodium, going basically from today until after the shoot next Thursday until like next Friday. I won't really take in a whole lot of sodium at all. It'll be damn near hardly any. So I think today, tomorrow, I'll really start to notice a difference. I'm starting to increase my water a little bit, maybe closer to 1.5 gallons than a gallon. That'll help flush it out a bit. So again, I think the next 1 to 2 days, I'll start to really drop weight with the water coming out. Sunday-ish, I'll probably start doing dandelion root. I'll take that all the way through the shoot on Thursday. I'll probably start distilled water on Sunday as well. That helps push the water out. There's less sodium in that than just normal tap water or whatever type of water you're drinking. And then all next week, I'll be low carb. The diet will get even more dialed in next week. I'll start probably cutting out veggies eventually. I'll go basically just meat and nuts and make a few other subtle changes next week. And then the day of the shoot, well, let's say the day before the shoot, I'll cut my water off probably 14 to 16 hours before the shoot actually starts. It's kind of interesting because we are doing an extremely long shoot. It's from 8 a.m. until like 6 to 7 p.m. Usually it's only
Holy shit.
We won't be shooting the whole time. It'll be back and forth depending on the sun. But yeah, okay. So usually the shoot's only 3 hours, so timing up your carbs is a lot easier. So this is a full day, so timing up the water cut and the carbs is a little bit different. So I'll probably cut my water out about 6 p.m. the night before, so that'd be 14 hours.
I'm at 8,000 grams of carbs in 2 days.
Same, bro. And then so I'll cut my water out. I won't really drink any water until the actual shoot starts, or not even then, actually. I'll kind of just sip on water throughout that day during the shoot, and I won't actually drink water per se until the shoot's over that night. And that morning, Zach said he's going to start his carb load probably the morning before. I'll probably start mine the morning of 2 to 3 hours before the shoot starts. And I'll eat a bunch right away in the morning, and I'll probably eat some donut holes, glazed donut holes. That's my shit. I'll probably eat some Oreos, and all of that will probably be with some cake icing. A little bit of carb life action. Stay tuned.
Carb life, that's gonna be epic.
And so when I start dropping those carbs in, I'm so depleted. The obviously, like I said, I've been depleted for like 16, 17 days now, but I'll be ultra depleted, even more than I am right now. That day of the shoot. So I'll be so depleted. And when I drop all those really fast-acting sugary carbs, my body react really well. My veins within an hour or two will really start to fill out. And another thing that happens is you're so dehydrated and you're so dry. When you take in the carbs and you're not drinking any water, all of these water that's still left in between your muscle and your skin, I believe it's subcutaneous water, that gets sucked into the muscles. And so it's like a double whammy. It makes you look more shrink wrapped and tight. So you can see your veins more, you can see your muscles and your striations more, but it also makes you look fuller and bigger. So you get like a double positive there from the carb load. So again, I'll do a bunch of carbs right when I wake up, 2-3 hours before the shoot. And then throughout the day, I'll kind of periodically snack on carbs to continue to keep the pump. And yeah, so then after the shoot, we're going to go out and get some dinner, probably crush some food. Then we got a flight coming back about 10:30 p.m., I think, which will be interesting. We'll be exhausted, sleep the whole way home. And then I'll probably post shoot, I'll probably allow myself to eat some food the next 1 to 2 days. And then I'll get it dialed right back in, try to maintain a really low body fat, kind of like last time, for at least a few weeks to a month. And then going forward, we'll see what happens.
Nice. So even after the shoot, you plan on just you keep on staying pretty much.
It really depends on what Dr. Serrano has me doing. Like I said, I'm trying to figure out. I'll be working with him. Yeah, I'll be working with him to try to figure out my test levels and my blood sugar. So I think it'll probably be really low carb with sweet potato type carbs mingled in there. So it really, again, it depends on what he tells me to do. And at this point, I'm going to do whatever to get my hormones right and everything. So kind of really depends on that. I know he's not going to want me to do many carb life posts, so we'll have to figure that out.
Oh man, maybe like 2 or 3 times a week instead of every night.
Exactly.
Yeah, that makes sense though, man. You know, for your dropping tips. All right, Jay. Hey, that's cool, man. Do you have anything else? I know you got to eat soon, and I got to go back to the gym and train some clients. Do you have anything else you want to cover before we get rolling?
Follow me on Snapchat for the craziness of the next week. JAY_Azeltine. Of course, follow me on Twitter and Instagram if you guys ever have any questions or anything like that. It's going to be a really fun week. Zach and I are going to do some content while we're out there with Corey and on our own. We're going to be touring the city, so I'm sure we'll be all over the Snapchat and
Oh,
so
dude,
forth.
we're legit getting bikes and like riding around and just like we're being really touristy when we're out there, dude. Just
Exactly,
doing
and
our thing and
we'll
enjoying it.
we'll knock out at least one or two episodes out there. Than that, though, I think that's it for me. What do you got, Zach? What do you want to leave them with?
Yeah, dude, just hit me up on Zach Hummel Power on Instagram, Twitter, Zach Hummel on Snapchat. I've been doing lots of Q&As on my Snapchat, so swing over there, hit me up with any questions you guys have. I've been legit spending like 5 to 6 hours a day, at least 1 or 2 days a week, just strictly answering questions on Snapchat. So definitely, if any questions, outside the show, feel free to swing over there and hit me up. Stay
Boom.
tuned to the next week of craziness, and it's always a pleasure doing a FireCast, guys.
Episode 13 coming soon. Peace.
Boom.